so glad you could make our time to join us on today's episode of Tax Matters, your weekly tonic for information and education on taxation. So, how's your week been? And how's business going? For about 2-3 episodes now, we've been looking at the dwindling fortunes of oil on the international market. We don't want to say the dwindling fortunes of Nigeria. No, because Nigeria will survive. The price of crude on the international market as of today is hovering about $80 per barrel. A far cry from the $117 per barrel of days gone by. Last episode, we were able to look in detail at the story of the 2014 Interagency Retreat of the Monitoring Committee for Accelerated Revenue Generation and Enhancement of Petroleum Profit Tax and Royalty, which was held in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. In that same week when that interagency retreat was taking place in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, the Joint Tax Board held its 138th quarterly meeting in Delta State. And of course, you know that the theme of the 130th quarterly meeting of the Joint Tax Board was achieving improved internally generated revenue without recourse to multiple taxation. You can see the convergence. So, what efforts are being made at different levels, at different fora, towards ensuring that Nigeria survives beyond oil? Tax Matters spoke to some of the chairman of the State Board of Internal Revenue on the sidelines of the 130th quarterly Joint Tax Board meeting, just as we also spoke to some of the industry players at the interagency retreat. So the interviews you are going to watch today are a mixed bag, so to say. Oil and gas industry players, tax collectors, the state chairman of Board of Internal Revenue. Enjoy it. Is Plateau State thinking about Nigeria beyond oil? The oil revenue is likely to dwindle further, if not totally disappear. Are you looking beyond oil?
Yeah, we are looking beyond oil. Really, when I came in as the executive chairman, what we did is to see how are we going to get money outside the federally allocated revenue. And the idea is for us to be able to do that by getting the informal sector to be able to contribute. By and large, 90% of what we get is from payee, which is from regular people who have regular income. So what we are doing now is to see how we will be able to get onto the informal sector to key in to be able to pay their tax. And we are doing that hopefully by trying to implement the presumptive tax regime. That is trying to get those who do not have the platform, those who don't have a source of income. We cannot determine their source of income to be able to do that. And so many other areas that currently we are not tapping into. Because like I said, 90% of our revenue is from payee, from the formal sector. So it's for us to be able to key in on those informal sector to be able to augment the 90%.
At Federal Inland Revenue Service, we're looking at other areas, most especially the non-oil revenue. Though in the oil and gas sector, we have non-oil revenue there. We have companies' income tax from gas, and have withholding, that is advanced tax, even from gas or from contracts awarded by these companies, and we have VAT from contracts. We have that non-oil revenue, but we are also looking outside oil and gas industry. The other industries like manufacturing, we are looking at the telecommunication, the banks, the insurance companies. We are looking at those industries too. The large taxpayers. We are looking at the medium. In fact, that's the essence of segregating the taxpayers. We have segregated taxpayers to large taxpayers, medium taxpayers, small and micro taxpayers, and also even government business. There's a dedicated department that administers government business. So to ensure that we get non-oil revenue. And we are equally looking at presumptive tax regime for those that are not in the tax net, the unorganized sector, those ones that you cannot pin down that are not registered. So we are bringing up a tax regime called presumptive tax regime to be able to bring those, the hairdressers, the mechanics, the drivers, to be able to bring them into the tax net.
FRS has taken initiative to begin to drive non-oil taxes, and it has started yielding fruits. We are looking at non-oil taxes, and the proportion is growing, because even right now we are looking at non-oil taxes of close to 32%, which to me is making is improving the system.
What is the Internal Revenue Service of Ogun State doing to ensure that you keep Ogun State above water when oil revenues dwindle or disappear?
In Ogun State, there's a lot of emphasis on revenues that come in from taxes. I believe that, and I strongly feel that one factor that enables everybody, corporate bodies remitting the taxes of their taxpayers, of their employees, or even those self-employed, one factor that quickly enables them pay their taxes is when they see what their money, what their tax monies are going on, tax revenue. Yes, taxpayer money in action, like you rightly put it. The roads are being built, roads have been expanded, model schools are being established, build bridges. People in Ogun State are seeing bridges, all long term, so that potential investors, the security has been beefed up. There are APCs, armored protective carriers in the states. The police have been equipped, to ensure that there's security, and all this is long term, because the idea is to ensure that it's an enabling environment for indigenous as well as foreign investors, to come in and say this is what it is. So while infrastructure is being developed, I tell you that it is the sure factor that enables taxpayers, unwilling taxpayers, that this is where the money is going to.
What are you doing in Abia State to ensure that the state survives beyond oil?
Okay, I think one of the things that my administration is doing is to make sure that we go in the area of enforcement, making use of the rule of law. Previously, before I came in as a chairman of the board, we had only one lawyer prosecuting cases. But as we speak, we have about 11 lawyers. Because we are trying to remove the era of gangsterism in tax collection. We are now using the law in order to make people pay. Cases are in court. We have more than 200 cases now as we speak in court. We have revenue courts, and we are enforcing to make sure that people pay their taxes. That is number one. Number two is in the area of enlightenment, to let the people know that the tax you're paying is not for Udochukwu Ogbonna, it's not for the governor, Sati Aoji, but it is for Abia State. Because when you pay your taxes, there will be infrastructural development. But if you don't pay, there is no way you can stand and say the government is not doing anything.
Well, dependency on oil, everybody is concerned. Even the federal government, you and I should be concerned. It's all about diversifying the economy such that everybody will not depend on oil revenue alone. You are aware that the present government is doing very well in agriculture. They're also doing well in telecommunication, even in solid mineral, all those alternative sources, and in transport, they're also doing very well. So with time, and they're also encouraging SMEs. With time, I think, and also with energy. In the energy sector, government is doing very well. If energy is there, it will have a multiplier effect on the economy, and all those small companies, SMA and micro companies, they will be on board and contribute to the economy meaningfully.
Every day, my people dey for work. Some dey do office work, some get them own business. So all of them want good road, constant power for better life. Whether na office work, oh yeah, pay your tax. Whether na your own business, oh pay your tax. If you want a better life, oh Pay your tax. Now your civic responsibility. Pay your tax. Better soup, now money cook am. Oh yes. Nothing goes for nothing, my brother. If you want potable water, security and hospital for make life jolly.
That's right. Good roads, good hospitals, potable water, adequate security all come from taxpayers' money. Play your part in making Nigeria great. Everybody, small scale, big companies, entrepreneurs, do the right thing. Pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS.
You are still on to Tax Matters, and what we are doing on this episode is to bring to you the strategies that are being fashioned out at different levels of government towards ensuring that Nigeria survives beyond oil. Talking about the fact that the price of oil on the international market is dropping, and oil, of course, is a wasting asset.
The importance of oil to so many countries and as a source of revenue in our country is going down. What is the way forward?
The way forward is to look internally. Internally, that Nigeria has been blessed with a lot of resources. It's a blessed country. We have been blessed with mineral resources. We have been blessed with talent in terms of the citizens. Nigeria is one country where you find the citizens anywhere in the world, and they can stand high and mighty with the likes of Bill Gates. We are very intelligent, sentiments apart. So what the nation has to do is to look internally for the aspect of revenue. We look internally, we have land masses. We could go back to what we had in time past, agriculture. Start going more into agriculture, planting of food, rearing of animals. We all need food to survive, and I don't see the agricultural sector suffering at any point in time. So we should go back to the basics, encourage agriculture, and also we could also try our best to go into to perfect our power sector, because it will go a long way in helping our industrialization aspect of the country. Textiles, and just like the presenter of the paper today said, there's nothing stopping us from going to the villages and building industries. We could have textile industries in the villages. At the end of the day, the youths or even the citizens within the village do not have to come to the cities looking for employment, because the employment will be there in the village. That will increase revenue. For the prospect of oil, there is oversupply in the market as it is today. That also, we still have to come back internally, try and look for a way to use the production of crude oil that we have today, so that we won't have to export the crude oil, but we'll now become an exporter of products. And our products will now start competing with the international market. Because as of today, we have the likes of shale oil, Libya's production, competing with our home barrels. So now the market is oversupplied with crude, but short on products. So let's look internally, look for every avenues, push ourselves to make sure our refineries is working well. If there's need for us, which we have, for new refineries to come upstream, let's start. But let's start with what we have today and not say we are looking for big revenues to do something big. But let's start with the kind of revenue we have today to build something that will become something bigger tomorrow. So in summary, let's look internally. We have the capacity and all the resources that is necessary for us to become the biggest giants of Africa, as we have been called.
Tax can sustain. For the states, the core is a personal income tax. They have withholding tax from individuals and enterprises. Okay? So, yes, it can sustain. The informal sector. In Rivers State, for example, any minute from now, we're going to activate our, what we call informal sector push, right? It is aimed at reaching out to the informal sector, the organizers, everybody, because every money counts. Everybody in the state is important to the state. It is not about how much, but if everybody is contributing, and you now know that you are part of the system. So that is what we were working towards, achieving, of getting more and more and more, if not everyone, but at least almost everybody in the net. In the net means being a partaker. You know, when you say net, it's not like you're catching the person, but you want the person to be a part of what is happening in the state.
Chineke me, they don't increase my salary money. No be mistake. Oga accountant do so. Papa Junior, you never hear of Peter. Now the new MD be that. Talk now.
Peter, na Personal Income Tax Amendment Act, wey Mr. President just signed for law to better the life of him people, so them to go get more money to enjoy with them family. You see this amended act, they don't reduce the tax we do on top your salary money. They can't increase consolidated allowance money where we go to get every month. And you know, say, now the president will listen if you do better thing for your people.
Ah, Mr. President, you do well, oh. The blessing you they think of me when you they sign this bitter. Now I feel do boku things this year. I feel rent shop for Mama Junior, buy textbook for Junior, send money go village, make the thing begin build my house.
So you say I'm the landlord?
Of course. Oh, you this is our country for you. Peter, Peter, hey, Peter.
JTB, creating a tax-friendly environment.
When oil revenue begins to dwindle further, or dries up, God forbid, what strategies have you put in place that will ensure that Ondo State will survive?
In Ondo State, what we are doing now is we are encouraging people, informal market, to be formalized. We are encouraging them to form cooperative because it becomes easier for us to deal with them when they have, when they are formalized. And we've been back on so many policies like tax enlightenment and education. Policy where we go out, we want to talk to them, we want to get them get their buy-in into what we are doing. We want them to know why they have to pay tax, when they have to pay, what they have to pay, and how they have to pay, because all these things have been problems. Okay, so once you are able to get them, then you put the right policy in place, and thank God for the kind of governors we have now. They have a lot of things to show for the taxpayers' money. In my state, I can tell you, the governor has a lot of projects to show for the taxpayers' money. So we are leveraging on that one to get to the informal sector of the economy, which is, of course, different from the oil. And with that, even if the oil goes today, after all, there was no oil in those days in the southwest. In the southwest, when cocoa money was being used to develop everywhere, the housing estate in Ibadan, the farm plantation in Ibadan, Ogbomoso, all areas. They were using cocoa money to, prosecute free education.
I will suggest that government should embark on aggressive agricultural development. We have some countries in Africa that depends on agriculture for their revenue export earnings. Then Nigeria can develop this. We can start exporting agricultural products. Before the advent of oil, Nigeria relied on agriculture. We can go back to the land. And there should be diversification of our revenue base, like development of solid mineral. There should be a review of our tax law to bring more individual and companies into the tax net. Government should expand the issue of power generation and distribution. This will enable the manufacturing industry to expand their capacity production, thereby they will be able to be in a position to perform well and pay higher taxes. Government should encourage the small and medium scale enterprises development by giving loans at reduced rates to encourage small scale entrepreneurs. There should be deregulation of oil industry operations so that it will attract inflow of foreign investments. In the sense that if there is deregulation, the amount being expended on payment or subsidy will be reduced, will be freed to be used on other infrastructure development. The government should privatize refinery so that the issue of a turnaround maintenance funding will not occur again. It becomes a problem of the various companies.
What are you doing, or what have you been able to do since you came into office to shore up your revenue base?
I believe every state of the Federation is looking inwards these days. The dependence of oil is no longer tenable. Nobody could continue to depend on what is going to exhaust one day. And Lagos State has set an example that internally generated revenue could be used to fund administration, to govern the state very well. And everybody is taking a cue from that. In my state, the executive governor of my state has given me full powers to seek for ways to improve internal revenue. And we've been doing our best to do that. We've been looking inwards. We have been going into the informal sector, which is the only sector that is left untapped in the state. And people don't even understand that a lot of revenue is in the informal sector these days, because most of the people you find in the informal sector are not organized. They're not registered, but yet they have lots of income. And it means if we concentrate on them, we'll be able to jack up our internally generated revenue in every state of the Federation. In Zamfara, that's one key area we have hedged our efforts on to ensure revenue is jacked up. And you will not believe it, we've been able to improve tremendously from the informal sector alone. And like I said, if you look at the various countries of the world, nobody really is dependent on the natural resources per se, but rather on the payment of taxes by its citizens. It goes beyond, realizing revenue. It shows there is a contract between the government and the citizens. So if people continue to pay their taxes, then the contract theory, which we all know about, has been served. Government provide this, and you pay your taxes, so that nobody will now see government properties as useless properties that could be underutilized, that could be vandalized, that could be done. All the negative things you can think of. So I believe, personally in my state, we are going to go there. We don't want to even concentrate on the issue of oil anymore. The allocation from the federal account in Zamfara State is nothing to write home about, and it can easily go to pay our salaries on some little projects in the capital sector. Therefore, we are looking inwards, and we are trying to inform all our citizens, all the indigenous of Zamfara State, through a lot of sensitization as to why they should be paying their taxes. And the government, on the other hand, has been able to construct roads, provide hospitals services and so on and so forth, to show that what they are paying is also being utilized to provide services for them. And I think this understanding has given us an improved relationship with the general public in Zamfara State. And I can assure you, if you come to Zamfara State, you will see how much effort has been done by the government and how much revenue has been realized by the Internal Revenue Service based on this kind of understanding. Yeah.
What do you think the country can do to remove dependence on revenue generation from oil and gas? Because if something happens, the country is in trouble.
There are a lot that we can do, and I think that government is also trying to diversify the economy. The best option is for us to diversify the economy. Agriculture used to be the mainstay of this country prior to oil. There's need for us to go back. Apart from agriculture, our manufacturing sector are now being abandoned. So what we are getting from crude oil as at now, we can use them also to activate these sectors so that Nigeria will come back to a proper footing in terms of the economy, because we need to stimulate the economy, and I'm sure government is not resting on its oar to diversify the economy.
I think the right steps are being taken, both by the government and the agency in particular. For example, you can notice that the unbundling of the power sector will usher in safer investment in that sector. Once you have the power to energize economy and economic activities, definitely the manufacturing sector will take up and will expand, because every economy runs on power and energy. So with the initiative in the power sector and the effort being made in the petroleum industry bill, I believe that the dependence on oil will be a temporary situation.
For us, strategy that we employ towards increasing revenue in my state basically is to ensure that all leakages in the collection process, all the leakages are blocked, and payments are done through the banking platform to reduce the incidence of leakages and diversion of revenues.
There you are. We need power, stable electricity supply to power Nigeria's industries. We need to return back to base, agriculture, go back to the land. We want to see those granite pyramids of those days, the cotton farms, the rubber plantations, the cocoa farms. We also must redouble our efforts in making sure that we will encourage small and medium enterprises to grow. SMEs, they call them. Cottage industries, family businesses, like they have in other countries. That's our contribution to the debate. What are your views? What are your comments? Send them to us. We'll air them. All that we all want to achieve is Nigeria in prosperity beyond oil. Nigeria beyond oil is a task that must be done. And every week, you must watch Tax Matters, same station, same day of the week, same time of the day. Have a blessed week ahead.